do Christian victims receive the same international media attention as Muslim victims? Well, joining me is Didier Neza, a Christian activist advocating for persecuted Christians in Nigeria. Didier, welcome to RIX.
Thank you for having me, Julia. I appreciate you.
Thank you for being here. Now, what led you to start speaking publicly about these issues?
Really began after October 7, when Israel was attacked by Hamas. In raising awareness for Israel and the Jewish community, it led me to seeing a lot of clips that come from Nigeria on social media. You can find them on Twitter, X, you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on Instagram. However, because of the algorithm, it shows you what you are interested in. So because I'm interested in the situation that's taking place in Nigeria, the algorithm on social media shows me it, and I cannot stay silent. And so I had to speak up, especially even when I realized that international media has become silent. And when they do speak about it, it's not accurate. They tend to speak more about the Muslims that are being affected in the northern area. And it's clear to me that there is an agenda to hide the atrocities that are taking place in Nigeria and making it sound like it's the Muslims that are being attacked the most when it's not. So when I look at the situation, even in Europe, I actually grew up in England. I was born in Rwanda. What I see happening in Europe, the West, in America, they have purposely opened the borders to allow these people to come into the nations of Europe. It's purposeful.
And in your post about the release of 14 Christian captives, you argued that if they had been Muslim captives being released, this would have made headlines worldwide. Now, what leads you to that conclusion?
Well, recently there was a reporting that was on Al Jazeera English, and it was also reported on other platforms like BBC and a few others, AON here in the United States, and they made it go viral when Muslims were released in Borno State who were captured by Boko Haram, the organization that is based in the north of Nigeria, are heavily jihadists. And Islam in its nature is all about jihadism. Those that follow Islam to its core, to the truest, to the core, the way Islam is supposed to be viewed and followed, that's what they do. So Sharia law, the northern side of no, the northern part of Nigeria is ruled by Sharia law. Sharia law is evil. Sharia law is wicked, and what they do is they lie. Lying in Islam is part of the agenda to advance its cause. That is why the caliphate has grown ever since 610 when Islam began, 610. Um, it has expanded ever since. It found itself into the northern part of Africa, and it has been growing, going down south ever since. And now that they are in Nigeria, Nigeria has a lot of Christians. So the northern part of Nigeria, which is Islam, they're trying to advance southward to take over the land with Islam. So it's clear that there is an agenda to protect Islam. Especially so when I paid attention to what took place in Israel, October 7, and then hostages were taken into Gaza, Nobody cared about what happened on October 7th. And instead, they kept shouting genocide in Gaza. When Israel is literally there to defend themselves and retrieve the hostages back. When I saw that, when I saw the manipulation, the deception coming from Gaza, calling it a genocide, defending the Free Palestine movement, it was so clear that there's an agenda. It's the same thing that is happening in Nigeria. The government of Nigeria is complicit. The government of Nigeria is Islamic. Just like you see in Iran, the government of Iran is Islamic. And so they are oppressing our people, especially the Christians in Nigeria and in Iran, as we can see, Iranians, the people of Iran.
In your post, you also describe this as a deliberate deception, and that being a strong claim. Could you explain what you mean by that and why you believe the conflict is being presented this way?
They are using Islam to advance their agenda. They are using Islam to advance the agenda. The EU, I believe, is corrupt. The Democrats here in the United States are corrupt. The globalists are the biggest problem. They are allowing Islam to come into nations to terrorize the people. Look at the UK. In the United Kingdom, I grew up in the UK. I didn't even realize how bad it was until I grew up and became more mature and looked into things for myself. The UK right now is in big, big, big trouble. If the United Kingdom does not wake up, even Sweden. So I lived in Copenhagen as well for 4 years before moving to the United States. What a beautiful country. I love Scandinavia. But I can see how they are trying to purposely and intentionally destroy the nations.
We see, for example, Poland is a country where, like Muslim, even refugees are not welcomed in, they're not accepted. And how is that treated as something like racism or hatred?
Poland is great. Poland are doing a great job, and they must continue because the leadership in Europe and the leadership we have here in the United States under the Democratic Party is clear that they're using Islam and they're using racism as a tool to destroy your nations. They have allowed mass migrations into Europe on purpose for the agenda. But Poland, I think it's Poland and Hungary that have, stayed strong. So we cannot allow them to use racism as a tool to manipulate the West. They are using right wing, far right terminology to manipulate the people. Whereas you just care about freedom. You want your freedom. You want to live free. You want to live in a safe place. Europe needs to be safe. But it's clear, it's so clear that it's intentional.
This deliberate deception, as you call it, why do you think there are so many people that are falling for it?
Brainwashing is real. The media is the worst. The media constantly just pushes their agenda and they hide the truth. That's why they don't report what's happening in Nigeria. That's why they manipulated and deceived the masses about what's taking place in Gaza. That's why the past since 2020, when Joe Biden was in office in the United States, they opened the borders on purpose, and millions of illegal migrants came into the country. Trump comes back and he stops it. It's the same thing that is happening in Europe. Why are they allowing these African men who are dangerous to come into the country, into Europe?
What would fair and accurate reporting on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria look like to you?
To not lie about what is actually taking place. What is actually taking place right now in Nigeria, the biggest problem for Nigerian Christians right now are the Fulani Muslims. The Fulani Muslims, jihadists, terrorists, they are in the middle belt of Nigeria, killing as many Christians as possible to take over their land and allow Islam to be the ruling religion politic. Islam is political. So the northern part of Nigeria is Islamic. The southern part of Nigeria is Christian, majority Christian. They are trying to take over the whole of Nigeria with Islam. The world needs to understand that the Fulanis are the biggest problem in Nigeria right now. It is not Boko Haram is a big problem. ISWAP is a big problem. Those two organizations, those two terrorist organizations, ISWAP and Boko Haram, who operate in the northern part of Nigeria. But we have the Fulani jihadists who are in the middle belt. They're also in the north, but they are traveling down, killing as many Christians as possible. They are beheading pastors. They are burning babies. Churches are being burnt, destroyed. Villages are completely wiped out. People have left villages, they have nowhere to go. So the Fulani, the media needs to talk about the Fulani Muslims who are doing the most slaughtering right now. It's a real Christian genocide that is taking place. And this is one of my mission here in the United States, to make noise and to make sure that it is designated as a terrorist organization, because they are. They are going around terrorizing Christians every day. And another thing is that the media tends to call it a herd a herder clash. Like herdsmen are clashing with Christians for land. In fact, Joe Biden called it. He said that the reason why this is happening is due to climate change. It's not. It's a clear Islamic agenda, jihad. And the Fulani jihadists need to be designated as foreign terror organization because they are already here in the United States, the Fulanis. They are already in Europe. They have been traveling around. Just as we see these Arabs coming to Sweden and other European countries, and they are they are terrorizing, raping little girls and boys in the UK. The Fulanis are also doing. They are also coming to do the same thing. Most of this is happening in villages where they don't have internet, they don't have phones. So when attacks happen, say for example, 30 minutes away from one village, there's an attack. That village, 30 minutes away from the other village, would never hear about it until they come to that village and they get killed. They are trying to make Nigeria look like Syria. They are trying to make Nigeria look like Sudan. They are trying to make the whole of Africa like that. And that's what they want for Europe. That's what they want for America. If these globalists don't stop this, um, they are the ones who are allowing this to happen. Let me say this quickly. If Europe wanted to stop mass migration, they could stop it within a couple of hours, just like that. Why won't they do it?
Well, thank you very much, Didier.
Thank you so much, Julia.